Amanda, have you heard from Tony?
He won't be here.
Okay. He won't be coming. Okay. All right. It is 7 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna it's 7 o'clock, so we're going to open the Columbia City Board of Zoning Appeals regular August meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Stacey Dumbacher.
Here.
Cathy Gardner.
Here.
John Kissinger.
Here.
Anthony Romano. Dennis Warnick.
Here. All right. In front of us, we have the consideration and adoption of the May and June meeting minutes. Do you have any questions or concerns?
I move we approve the May minutes as distributed.
I second.
I have a motion by Dennis and a second by Stacey. All in favor, raise your right hand. So moved.
Okay.
All right.
I move we approve the June minutes as distributed also.
I think you're correct. We need to do them separately. I have a motion for the June minutes
I'll second
and a second from Stacey. All in favor, raise your right hand.
I abstained due to being absent from that meeting.
Thank you, Cathy. All right, now we're going to have the administration and the oath of witnesses. So anybody out there that wants to speak on behalf of this petitioner, please stand up and raise your right hand, and Dawn will swear you in.
On behalf of
Either, yeah, or just make
Either.
a comment, anything, so you don't have to be singled out later. Do you solemnly swear that any information you give this board this evening will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do.
I do.
Okay.
Thank you. Nathan, we have any old business for tonight?
No.
All right, we're going to move on to new business. This is 24-C-SE-3. It was continued from the July 2nd due to some notification requirements. It's the Legend Recovery Center, LLC, requests approval of a special exception for a behavioral health facility as an alcohol and drug abuse treatment center. Proposed to be located at 701 West Connexion Way. 2-acre property is zoned GB General Business District and located on the south side of Connexion Way, 470 feet east of Opportunity Drive. Nathan, that's staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So going to the summary of the staff report here for you. This is located at 701 Connexion Way, Zone GB General Business. It's approximately 2-acre site. Currently the Quality Inn, which was constructed in 1998, also includes accessory parking that goes all the way around the building. As mentioned, the special exception that you're considering is for a quote-unquote alcoholism and drug abuse treatment center, and that is straight from the zoning code the term it uses. The nature of what's being proposed is to remodel the existing hotel for use as a behavioral health facility, and that is what the petitioner has termed what they are doing. Essentially, a more descriptive, a longer description of it is a long-term stay facility dedicated to addiction treatment. And long-term is my term. As I understand it, it's detox and then potentially longer than that. But the petitioner can give you far more details on the exact nature of what they're proposing in terms of operations. Important for us is the fact that there would be essentially residents in the building, and when you look at the zoning code, special exceptions in UB include things like apartments, drug abuse treatment centers, halfway houses, and so on, all of which are residential sorts of uses, and so that I think is the common thread and why it's before you. What is proposed in terms of treatment to the building is to remodel the building. It would be primarily internal. A few external changes would be proposed as submitted. However, I do understand the petitioner has talked with several different entities, and there may be additional external changes that they are proposing when it's all said and done. It came up because this hotel does have an indoor pool. When I talked with the petitioner, that is intended to be retained as an amenity for their clients, along with other things that the hotel has inside, meeting space and so on, as I understand it. Up to 100 patients and 25 staff at maximum shift. I think that is a high maximum on the number of patients and potentially right around the maximum for the maximum shift on staff. When using those numbers for parking calculations, the number of spaces already provided by the hotel well exceeds the minimum required for the parking here. This has also helped because the petitioner's commitment that the actual patients would not have vehicles themselves, so that would reduce the total load. Going on then to reference materials, some aerial views. Highlighted in light blue there is the subject site. This is a very wide view, but I included it just so that everybody can see all of the nearby roads. You've got Lincoln Way angling there to the upper left, US 30 cutting across the middle, of course, Connexion Way above that, Opportunity Drive connecting between Holiday Inn at the south and the solar field in the north, and the jail there in the upper center. And then on the south side you have Deer Chase and the Methodist Church and so on, and Walmart on the far right. A little closer view showing more of the immediate neighbors for reference. Finally, a basically site level view in case we need to refer to it. Autumn Trace is immediately there to the left. To the bottom left is Holiday Inn, and to the right is, I am drawing a blank as to what their current name is, but it's the
ORD, the old trail.
Yeah, it's Performance Motorsports Equipment and so on. In the written staff report, I make mention of a couple things. Parking being one, I already talked about. Another is the existing driveway entrance, and how at some point in the past, probably around, looks like about 2012 or so, the hotel widened the entrance and wound up in doing that taking out some trees. So you can see this is the current configuration here. You can see that there's actually curbing that goes like this, and then an area of gravel. Prior to that, it was actually constructed as that, and you can see at the time it was constructed, it had 1, 2, 3 trees along Connexion Way, which is what the parking code calls out for. And when they widened that radius, they wound up removing one of the trees. So that, because there is no need for semi-truck deliveries, and I believe that is why the hotel widened that radius, there's no need for semi-trucks to be accessing the proposed use. It is my suggestion that that radius be restored back to what it was originally, and add back in that tree to be compliant with the street tree requirements. Before I get to the conditions, the review criteria, I won't go through these too terribly much. Special exception is a listed special exception in the GB district. Would not involve any elements that would be dangerous, injurious, or noxious, really as a essentially residential facility. It's likely that there would not be any specifically dangerous or injurious or noxious elements. The environmental standards, performance standards of section 2.10, which deal with things like vibrations and noise and so on, light, glare, those seem to be met. That said, there may be operational facets to this that may have potentially dangerous or injurious, I wouldn't say noxious elements. So to what degree that may be land use related, even though it's operational, might be something the board could consider. Going on then, visual impression, again, the petitioner isn't really planning to do any sort of external changes from what it is now, other than cleaning it up and again, anything that they may have committed to with other meetings. So there wouldn't be much change there. I already talked about parking. It seems like the minimum parking requirements would be met. Traffic congestion then would follow suit. And finally, the special exception, preserving the purpose of this ordinance. I don't have much to really comment on that, other than I do refer you back to section 1.03 of the zoning code where the purpose is stated, and there's several things in there that may apply here, and hopefully you've had a chance to review that in detail yourself. Suggested conditions, these are similar to the last time we looked at this type of use at a different site. Number one, just the standard condition that this would be granted as presented. In case there's anything discussed tonight, that would go into the record. Number two is what I discussed with the driveway. 3, 4, and 5 are again standard conditions, just to ensure that the dumpster is enclosed, which I believe it is already, but that it would stay enclosed. Exterior lighting being shielded or oriented to prevent glare. Again, no proposed changes, but just in case there is any additional lighting, that would apply. And then signage, same thing. No proposed changes to what is existing, but just in case there's any additional or any changes that do wind up happening. Just want to make sure that's in there. So with that, I think that covers the staff report. I do have a couple notes about public comment and the petitioner. We do have the petitioner both in the audience. I believe we have representatives and Josh Koenig online. He wasn't able to make it in person tonight, but he is online. I'll bring him over electronically in a second. And then we did have one, I believe you got one, this went out with the packet, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I believe you got one letter from remonstrators in your packet, and then there is one that was distributed prior to the meeting that we received earlier today. And I believe those were the only two comment letters.
One in the packet, 2 that were passed out.
Okay, what Amanda said. One in the packet and 2 passed out. So with that, any questions for me at this point?
Don't have any, Cathy?
Nope, not yet.
Stacey?
No.
All right, would the petitioner please come to the podium, state name and address, and kind of fill all the blanks in and anything that Nathan might have missed.
All right. Good evening. My name is Nate Kalmeyer. I'm the executive director of Legends. I pretty much came out here today to introduce myself so you guys can meet who I am and tell you a little bit about myself. I've been sober. I'm in recovery. I've been sober 16 years. January, I celebrated 16 years. When I had 9 months sober, I got into this field and started working in this field. And I've had the opportunity to work in this field and help a lot of people. And starting at 9 months sober working in this field, I've had the opportunity to start from the bottom and work my way up. With that being said, me being the executive director, what I've done over the last 16 years is brought what I have learned and seen what has been beneficial and worked in facilities and brought it to what I do at Legends. Now, Legends right now, we have an inpatient program in Green Springs, Ohio, that's been open for 2 years, and we do detox and residential there. We have an outpatient program in Maple Heights, Ohio, that's southeast of Cleveland, and we've been open for 1.5 years there. And we also have an outpatient program we opened up in the city of Pittsburgh that's been open for about 1 year. I have the opportunity to oversee all of them. But I wanted to come up here, introduce myself, see if you guys had any questions for me about how we operate. And, I know that we've only been open for a short period of time, but this isn't my first time working and opening up facilities. I've opened up multiple facilities over the last 16 years. So, like I said, I want to introduce myself and see if you guys had any questions for me.
I'm sure we do. Kathy, do you want to?
Could I start out, please?
Sure.
And the reason why I was not here for the June meeting, and so I did read the minutes to when you were seeking the approval and received the approval for the Super 8 location. So I guess one of my questions is, why are you not? You've received the approval from the board that was present that evening. You're not at that location. You're now requesting to have it here.
So we were looking at a couple locations, and we thought that the location at the 701 Conjunction Way is probably the best fit, and the way it's set up would be perfect for what we want to do there. So that's why we were trying to look for the approval for that location, because we feel like that's going to be a better fit for our clients and for our staff.
Can you elaborate on that? And for the reason being is, both locations are in a commercial area. You
Right.
have commercial around, or what makes this site more suitable?
So it's more of an internal thing. It's not an external thing. So the way the buildings are set up, when I walk through the Best Western, because Josh, who's on there right now, had me come out and look at the Best Western, and he also had me come out and walk through Quality Inn, and he wanted to see which ones I thought would be the best fit for what we're trying to do. And when I walked through the Quality Inn, the way that the hallways are set up and everything is set up throughout the building would be more appropriate for us to monitor the clients like they're supposed to be monitored.
Okay.
Yep.
It's probably a newer building too.
It's newer. Yep, it's newer and it's beautiful actually. It's really nice in there.
Okay, so I guess I'll just keep
You
going.
just
Unless
keep on
someone
going.
wants- Okay. I guess in reviewing everything, some of the things that I guess I was a little concerned with was, even though the clients do not have vehicles, okay, they don't bring the vehicles, correct?
Right.
After they're able to leave at any time that they want. So, and the only way that they can leave, according to the information I read, is by Uber, or if one of the staff takes them.
So we actually have a department that's set up for nothing but transportation, which we're also going to do out here. So like the way I've done it and like what I've learned in my experience working in this field, that you're always going to have clients that aren't going to want to stay in treatment. Unfortunately, that's just how it is, and that's the reality of it. So if they want an AMA, we try our best to get them to stay. So we try to intervene as best as we can. But if they want to leave at the end of the day, I don't want them walking down the street because I don't know what's going to happen. So I let them call for a ride, and if they can't find a ride, we find transport, whether it's our transport company or we've gotten Ubers or we've gotten cabs. 9 times out of 10, their family members will come pick them up, or whoever brought them into the facility will come pick them up. But we do that because I feel like, you know, if somebody's leaving AMA, the main reason why they're leaving AMA is because they're not ready to get sober yet. So they're probably going to go out and use. So if they go out and use, I want them to come back and feel comfortable coming back. So if I make it hard on them to leave and tell them, like, go ahead, take your stuff, walk down the street, they're not going to want to come back to my facility. So I don't set up AMAs. I don't encourage AMAs, but I make sure it's easy for them so that they know that they have a comfortable place to come back to.
Okay. Where will these clients come from? So.
I mean, we're going to have, like, my clients right now in Ohio, they come from, I work closely with, I live in Ottawa County. We live right by Lucas County. We get a lot of referrals out of those counties. We work closely with courts. We work closely with other treatment providers in the state. And if they don't have that level of care, so if an outpatient has only outpatient and we're doing inpatient, they'll refer to us and we send them out, or we have them go to outpatient for continued treatment.
Okay. I guess too, and so how do you feel that this facility would benefit our community?
So I know a lot of people in the industry, being in this for 16 years. I know the owners of Allendale. I know the owners of Fort Wayne. I talk to them on a regular basis. I know Nate. I know Tommy. I know all the guys out in the community up there. I know people from Maple Heights Behavioral Health, their BD reps. The owner of Local Recovery Center is a very close friend of mine. I've known him for years. They refer out a lot of Medicaid. So when I was asking them how many people with Medicaid, because they're commercial facilities, they only take commercial insurances. So people who have Indiana Medicaid can't go to their facilities. So I was asking them, you know, where do you guys refer to? And they refer out a lot of people every month. They told me. I had a conversation with a representative from Allendale on my way up here today. And he told me that he's referring out 5 to 10 Medicaid people and they're in full wing. He's referring them out every day. So this northern, like where we're at, Pittsburgh is in Pennsylvania. My Maple Heights facility is in Cleveland. My Green Springs facility is right by Toledo, and we wanted to open up here in northern Indiana, so we can have resources all across the northern part of this part.
Do you look for properties or facilities such as hotels must suit well? Do you like monitor like those that are on the market for sale? Is that how you came about Columbia City?
Yeah, I mean, I was working with Josh. We were looking for something in northern Indiana, and we came across this property. You know, a lot of times we use assisted living or nursing homes that are for sale because they're set up perfect also for what we do. But anything that's residential that I could have my staff be able to keep the eyes on the clients and making sure that they're getting the treatment they deserve, we look for that when it comes to a property.
How about like as far as security and your employees, your staff members? Are they just anyone that would apply, or do they have to have certification that comes with?
They'll be certified, and there'll also be people that will apply that'll be like monitors. But everybody, like I'm big on trainings. So like we do like we have a program that we use called Hatch, and it's trainings for everything that you need in treatment. So if it's digression or anything that's happening, they're all trained. For de-escalating, everything that happens in a facility, all my staff is trained in it. Regardless of whether at the top or the bottom, they always are all trained in the same exact thing.
So they're trained by you or your staff.
Yep.
Are trained. So. And
we also have programs in Ohio that come in and do. Project Dawn just came in and did a whole training with all my staff on Narcan, and so like I have outside sources that come in too to do trainings, but our compliance, we have a compliance program that we use for training.
So you won't have any nursing staffs. It'll be all. There won't be nurses on duty.
No, there will be nurses on duty.
Will be. Okay.
Yep, we'll have medical, we'll have clinical, and we'll have behavioral health techs.
Okay.
Will there be anybody just for security?
I don't think so.
That will be their only job?
Because I don't have security. You know, I had a guy that was there to do AMA blocking. That's kind of like what security does and make sure they're not walking off. But if I need to, I will. But I've never had to have a security guard in a facility. Any of the facilities I've ever ran, I've never had security.
So can anyone just hit the door and walk out anytime? So
what we do is we do rounds. So the behavioral health techs are the ones that go around and do rounds. So it depends on the level of care. If somebody's in detox, I do 15, 30-minute rounds. So they're always putting eyes on the clients. And then if they're in residential level of care, they do hour rounds. So I always have staff roaming the property and putting eyes, and they document everything in our EMR, our electronic medical records. They document what that client is doing because I want to know. I want to be able to call my staff and say, Steven, what was he doing at 7:15 p.m.? And my staff better be able to tell me what Steven was doing because I want to make sure they have eyes on him at all times. But if they do walk off property, obviously, like I said, we're going to try to intervene as much as we can.
So all the doors aren't.
They're going to be alarmed.
Okay, they'll be alarmed.
They'll be alarmed. Yep. All my doors in our detox right now are alarmed. If anybody goes out a door that's not, we have doors that are locked, like the front door and the back door, but all the rest of the doors and windows have alarms on them. So if they go off, it goes to a certain station where I have staff at, and they know that there's an alarm going off, and they can look at that zone to see where it's at, and then they can go inspect what's going on.
And there won't be people walking in from outside.
There won't be people. So we have a whole admissions process.
Okay. Bringing something in contraband.
The clients, no. Okay. The clients that I have now, they go through a whole series of questions, and they get a whole history done before they even walk in our door to make sure they're appropriate for our facility.
Do you have a policy? I'm sorry, Stacey.
And then they're physically checked as well, right?
Yes, they're searched. All of our clients are searched. They take showers. We have bed bug machines. So we have a whole process there, and our process is they come in the door. The first thing they do when they come in the door is they empty their pockets. After they do that, they strip down, they sign a consent form, and then they shower. Then the nurses do their assessments, their skin assessments, and then they do all the paperwork that they need to get them in. All their stuff is searched. All their belongings go through a bed bug machine. They don't get to have their cell phones. They don't get to have their wallets. They don't get to have any kind of money on them. It all gets locked up in a safe box, and they get a pair of scrubs that they wear for the first 24 hours while their clothes are all being washed, and then they get their clothes back.
Because anybody that comes is basically coming under their own will. Then nobody comes to this facility basically being.
So being a voluntary facility, everybody's there on their own will. There's clients that we do have come that are like probation saying, okay, you need to go to treatment, you need to complete treatment, and if you don't, there's going to be consequences, but it's not jail. It's like they're not forced to stay there. So we have clients that have come and be like, I don't want to stay here, even though they know if they leave, it's against what their probation is saying.
So do you have a policy as far as like the number of clients? I mean, how many staff members per client? Do you have?
In Ohio, we do.
Okay. Is
So-
it based upon?
So it's based, the state requires, like if you're running groups, that there's one staff member for every 12 clients running group. And nursing is 30 clients for one staff member. The rest of them is not, there's not any regulations. That's what the state requires.
So if this facility has a potential for 100 maximum clients, what is the facilities that you currently have? Like what percentage of maximum are your other facilities?
So right now with our detox center, I have 65 clients there tonight, okay? Right now on my staff, I have 3 RNs there, and I have 4 behavioral health techs, and that's for after administration hours. During administration hours, you have a director of operations there, I have my clinical director, I have 3 therapists, and I have 3 case managers, along with 4 behavioral health techs and 3 nurses on the floor. We're overstaffed. But I like to be overstaffed because I don't want the clients to feel like, I want the clients to get the treatment. They feel like when I have staff there present, ready for them to talk to the client.
So this is kind of like a hypothetical thing, but this property is right next door to the Autumn Trace, which is a assisted living facility, and Holiday Inn is right there. Plus, there's other things. But if in fact one of your clients is in detox, it isn't working very well, it's just a concern that they're just so close that there's a lot of medication in that facility that's right next door.
Right. I mean, they could walk out this door right now and find stuff if they really wanted to. I hate to say that.
Well, I know
That's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
So, like, no matter where they're at. But, like, in my experience, I've been open for 2 years in Green Springs. We've had 6 clients walk off property. The rest of them have found a way out. If a client wants to leave, they're not going to go to the next door, where they know they're going to get in trouble if they go do something very close to the detox center. So they're going to go back to where they know. They're not going to do anything in an area they don't know.
This is kind of opposite. So was you planning on putting like a privacy fence or any type of fencing on the outside of the building just to kind of have a little bit of a buffer between the neighbors?
That's a Josh question. Can you answer that, or am I still up here?
Yeah, hi, do you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, good evening everyone, thank you for letting us join. So I already spoke to the ADJOURNMENT, the building right behind me. I spoke to their, I forgot the individual's name, I think three weeks ago, and we already spoke to put up a PVC fence to go across the whole back of the property for privacy for us and for them.
Okay, thank you.
Is there also going to be an outside space? Last time when we talked in June, he talked about like an outside space with fencing
Yep.
for smoking.
So what will make a smoking area? That's what I do with all my facilities. I have a fenced-in smoking area so the clients can walk out the building to go smoke in between groups or.
And that's not
after.
accessible to outside.
That's not going to be accessible outside. My smoking area right now is completely fenced in. So the only way they can get out and in is going out the building and then back into the building.
Okay.
So there's a couple things that when we talked in June, I just want to confirm I'm remembering right because I've slept since then. So number one, how long can they stay?
30 days.
30 days.
30 days.
Okay, 30 days. And then one of the things that they talked about was that to give back to our community, that individuals within our community would be able to come, I thought they said for free or discounted or something. He talked.
Yes, so scholarship, I believe that's what we discussed, that what we do is that if someone doesn't have Medicaid, for whatever reason, that they don't have insurance set up, we would take them for free. That's how we give back. That's one of the ways.
Within Columbia City, with the residents of Columbia City.
Right.
Yes, yes. I mean, we do have that now. We have people, unfortunately, you know, whether they don't have their finances in order, they're getting divorced, something's going on, and they're not on Medicaid yet, and Medicaid can take 30 to 60 days to go on to it. We would take that.
And is there a number? Like, we'll take 2 at a time. Like, is there?
No.
Or is it just whatever the need is?
Right. So obviously it depends what the census looks like. But like 3, 4, 5. I mean, we're very open to that. I mean, we're guests and we appreciate Columbia City opening up their doors to us. So we would definitely open our doors to you.
And normally, like the scholarships that we have now, I approve them and I get on the phone with them myself, and I want to make sure that they actually are looking to get help, and not out because somewhere to put their head down, you know. So, I mean, I've had people that didn't want to be in treatment that come on the 5th day and they're like, you know what, I'm glad I'm here, and then they stayed sober. You know, I have actually 7 people that work for me right now in all the facilities that came through our program and put together a year sober, and I've hired them to come back and work with the clients. So.
Very good. Dennis, you have anything? Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, is there anyone else here that would like to speak on behalf of the petitioner? And is there anyone here that would like to speak against the petitioner or have just questions?
Hello, I'm Sean Ellis, CEO of Mission 25. First, I want to say congratulations on your 16 years recovery. That's incredible. That's definitely worthy of applaud, so thank you. Okay, so you guys did receive a letter from me. I just want to do a few highlights regarding that letter in case you didn't get a chance to read it. Really, the focus is about the care that is currently being provided here in Whitley County, and we're going to focus on the care that's currently being provided. So just to understand that, you know, Mission 25, you all know that we're building a brand new facility, which is just a couple doors down from Quality Inn. I think we were here a year ago today, actually petitioning all of you for this exciting opportunity, and we are very excited. And as a reminder, our new facility will be a 54-bed facility. And as a reminder, that facility is being designed based on the data for about 25 years of data that we were able to gather because of the work that we've been doing in this community to be able to say this is the size that we need to accommodate Whitley County specifically. That's based on the data from the numbers that we're getting, not just Whitley County residents, but surrounding counties as well. So I want to be very clear of how we came to that number of 54 beds to begin with. Also to understand, our staff is very credentialed. And I'm also going to say we're not a treatment center. We have always said we are not a treatment center. We are level 3 recovery residents, and we have been since 2019. So we have been certified by the Division of Mental Health and Addiction since 2019 to be able to serve Whitley County the way that we are serving them. We have increased our capacity to be able to serve those with addiction in a plethora of ways, but a lot of our staff have many certifications that they're carrying to be able to do the work that we're doing. And just like this gentleman was talking about, the training is extensive. Like, this is not something that we take lightly by any means, because we are protecting all, not just my staff, but also those in our care at all times. And so that training is critical, along with all the certifications that we carry, and as like what they were talking about, certifications as well. There are things to understand when it comes to MAT, medication assisted treatment. So right where the new Mission 25 building is, right across the street is Park Center, which is one of our community mental health providers here in Whitley County. They work with people with MAT, along with all the other things, the IOP, the CBT, the MRT, all the T's they do. They're right there across the street from where we're located. Bowen Center, they have a brand new facility in this community as well, and they have increased their capacity to be able to serve those within substance use disorders and all the likes, and again, offering all the resources around MAT, MRT, DBT, all the things, it's right there. So those services are currently available here in this community, as well as the recovery groups that are available. They both also offer the IOP, which is the intensive outpatient treatment. We know that there's a lot of people in substance use disorders, when they leave a 30-day treatment, they potentially will be going into an IOP. We have individuals that go to IOP here in Whitley County, and they also go less than 20-mile radius all around us. They're going to IOP, or they're going to all the other treatment centers around. So we do have that available here in Whitley County, or access to it here in Whitley County specifically. I also want to talk about the Recovery Engagement Center. We had launched that last March. So inside the Recovery Engagement Center, just literally from March to December last year, we had over 1,600 recovery engagements that actually took place inside those walls. Inside those walls, that's where literally we are holding, or he actually was corrected yesterday, we're not housing anybody there, but we are basically, groups are held in that space. So we have recovery groups, we have access to recovery resources and services, along with recovery coaches. So Mission 25, we do have 5 certified addiction recovery coaches on staff as well. So we provide that service in this county. So March to December of last year, we had 1,600 of those recovery engagements. This year, from January to July, we've had 1,800 recovery engagements. So the uptick of the engagements is pretty extensive. We also know that the groups that have moved basically from the community, have moved into the Recovery Engagement Center, have more than doubled in size since they have started serving people inside our building, because that is a safe space. That is a safe environment for people to access those recovery resources and services and coaching. It's their space. They're not in the basement of a church or basement or closet of anywhere. Like, this is where they get to practice recovery out loud. I will be the first person to stand up here and say that I fully support recovery, and you know I do, because I was here last year crying to you and saying, listen, people are in need of recovery, right? It is time for Whitley County to stand up and recover, and we're going to recover together, and we're going to recover out loud. And that is exactly what we've been doing, and we've been showing the community that this is what Whitley County is going to do. And so with that, you know about the 54-bed facility, you know the capacity that we're bringing to the county. We're increasing our ability to be able to serve single men, single fathers and children, and then also being a trauma-informed facility as well, because that is very critical in the work that we're doing. So we're, again, keeping every person in mind and the services that we're going to be providing. And then, again, talk about the local health providers. They're all over. Literally, if we need someone for detox, we are 12 miles away from Bowen Center Inpatient in Pearson, 12 miles. And so then you take 12 miles and we're going to Albion, we're going to Allen County, we're going to Huntington County, we're going over into the Warsaw area where there's Clean Slate and some other services. There are treatment facilities all around us. In fact, and I hate that I'm going to say this because I stood here last year talking about recovery, but the market is becoming saturated to the point where, listen, it's everywhere. And so at this point, I really need to start questioning, like, so are all these facilities actually at capacity? Or are we actually looking at the dollar amount tied to it? I can say that because I'm a nonprofit. I'm not looking at the dollar amount. So we're saying here because we're talking about the people that we're serving. So I really want to focus on that. Like, we have those resources. They're all around us. They're everywhere. They're all around us. And so with that said, I can tell you that I've been had the opportunity over the last few months to work with the Community Foundation along with several other partners. I'm not going to talk about their project because that's their project to talk about. But I've had the opportunity to lead at least 3 focus groups in the last few months. And within those focus groups, we talked about, are there other resources in this community that are lacking? And I can tell you not a single person ever mentioned that we're lacking a recovery treatment center. They're not lacking that. That's not what they're looking for. And so, in fact, we actually had someone that said, listen, Sean, the resources are here. They're right here. People actually just need to go and look for it and actually use the resources that are currently here. We don't need to add more resources. They're already here. There was another individual that actually participated in a different focus group that was led by another person in this group that we're doing all this work together. And their comment was, Whitley County is big enough to have all the resources, but small enough to still feel like we're a tight-knit community. And that's really what Whitley County has been. And we have so many amazing collaborative partners that we have worked so hard together to make sure that we're doing recovery right in this community. And we have been working hard. And it's really hard. I'll be honest with you, it's a hard sell for a lot of us to have someone come in from a completely different area, out of nowhere, a different state, nowhere, no reaching out to anybody and having any conversations with anybody, and then just, hey, we're going to open this treatment center. when I joined you guys a year ago, I literally petitioned, and not just me, my board as well. And we've been here for 25 years. And out of 25 years, we had enough decency and respect to literally reach out to people and say, hey, we're coming to Whitley County. By the way, we're coming to Connexion Way and Opportunity Way. Can I sit down with you and have a conversation with you? I want you to know more about what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing. Like, we had enough decency and respect to be able to do that, to engage our community into the work that we're doing. And we, again, have been here for 25 years. Like, if anybody didn't have to engage the community into what they're doing, it probably wouldn't have been us. But we did it because out of respect, because this is who we are and it's what Whitley County is. Not only that, I'm audited multiple times a year, and every time we have an auditor come in and look at our stuff, they've said, I don't know how many times, Whitley County is unique. There is no other county like this that is collaborative enough to stick together and do the work that you're doing. So that, again, speaks volumes for Whitley County and the collaboration that we have. And so it is a hard sell when we have someone coming from outside of the county, outside of our state, to come in and just like open up shop. Again, not saying that they haven't done good work. They may have in their areas. I'm not there in their area, so I couldn't answer that question. But just know that we have the resources here. And last but not least, it's about not doing harm, right? So I know that when you grow fast and you are really trying to open up fast because you believe that there's a need, things can go wrong, and they can go very wrong. But at the end of the day, this work that we're in is about people. And it's about being person-centered, and it's about treating them and serving them well and making sure they get the best quality care possible. And I have great concern when we're opening up, when they're opening up 3, now 4, potentially 4 facilities in less than 3 years. I have to question, like, where's the mistakes that have been made? Have there been corrections? What's the infrastructure look like? What are best practices? What are your policies? Like, listen, again, 25 years, and I've been with this organization for 15. Last 8, we have defined and refined again and again and again our processes and procedures, because we want to make sure that what we're doing is working and it's right and we're not causing harm. And that is such an important part, especially for the people that we are serving, because there's already enough trauma and there's already enough harm, and we don't need any more. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak on behalf of the town petitioner or against the petitioner?
Ryan Daniel, Mayor, 112 South Chauncey Street. I assume that this is not a surprise that I'm up here to speak with you tonight. I do want to start by thanking Josh Koenig, who has sat through multiple video conferences with me and other people in the county to try to answer questions and work through some things. I will say that the reason I'm here, as you saw in my letter in June, is I have some concerns, certainly about individuals leaving the facility as well as other things. But I will tell you that in the last 60 days or so, since the last BZA meeting, there has been concern that's been brought up by county officials. There's been concern brought up by clearly Mission 25, by some of the public safety members of our community, by local businesses. You've gotten those letters recently. And I want to maybe start with the positives here, because as I mentioned in my letter, and will continue today, I did have conversation with the mayor of Green Springs, Ohio, fairly new mayor of Green Springs, to just kind of find out a little bit about Legend and really just get a sense of what the pros and cons are. And I will say the big pro that I've heard from the mayor, that county officials have heard from their brethren and sisters in other states that have Legend in their facility, is that their facilities are always very nice. They're always well taken care of. The outsides are manicured, if you will. The insides are a great welcoming space. They are areas in which you can tell that they take pride and caution in how they're putting their spaces together and making sure it is a high quality facility. Okay. I also want to mention that, as you probably know, I am not anti-rehab. We have been very, very supportive of Mission 25. We've given 100% of our opioid settlement funds to Mission 25 for their recovery work specifically. And so I think what's important is when Nathan first brought this project to me, my first thought was, okay, this could be a good thing for the community. I will say, obviously, since then, I have some concerns that I brought that Sean has brought forward that I just want to reiterate, and I think this is maybe the biggest issue that I just want to put together and to say, kind of repeat what Sean said, but there was very little, if any, groundwork or collaboration done with anybody in the city, anybody in the county, Parkview Health, Mission 25, nothing. And so my concern in the letter and my concern today is that over the last 60 days, there have been multiple video sessions, there's been multiple conversations that have been had, but only because the issue was forced. And as you are aware, when it comes to mental health and addiction, building collaboration and community is a really important thing. So when you come into a community, you build the support before you go to the board. Like that's the appropriate process, as you well know. And that did not happen. And I think that left a sour taste in a lot of our mouths because, not that, again, you guys know me well enough to know, I don't ask people to come kiss the ring. I don't ask people to come and, get my approval ahead of time. But I do think it's important on these kind of matters when you're talking about people's lives, when you're talking about public safety, when you're talking about neighbors and businesses and things like that, that you build consensus and you build collaboration. And that did not happen with this project. So that's a big thing. The other thing, as you are well aware, neighborhood disruptions. Again, I can understand why Sean and her team at Mission 25 would be concerned about that. I have brought to Josh multiple times, and he has tried to calm my fears. Is that fair, Josh? He's calmed my fears about people walking out of the facility. But I will tell you, when I spoke with the mayor of Green Springs, one of the things that he brought up was panhandling and people leaving the facility looking for a ride, fully recognizing that those facilities may have ride availability, may have the vans, may have the Ubers, may have those opportunities. But when the mayor of another community brings that to my attention, that tells me that there must be a gap somewhere. And so that was something that I can understand why Mission 25 and Patterson's and others would be very concerned about that for that purpose. Kind of on that note, the public safety piece of that, obviously when you have a new facility, you have public safety issues when it comes to fire and police and EMS. Again, I don't want to rehash what was in my letter, but ultimately I do think that could be an additional drain, if you will, or an additional usage of our public safety that could be a concern. And I think the last thing that I would say that is a concern for me personally is that with all due respect to Mr. Koenig and to these gentlemen, I would say this is the story has pivoted from the start to the finish, right? So obviously Super 8 was the place to be. I'll be the first one to admit that when it comes to the two facilities that are proposed, the Super 8 originally and now the Quality Inn probably is a better fit for this facility. It is less in a commercial area. It is a little more secluded. It is a little more rural. Not saying it's a great location, but given the two options, that is one. But I will say that, at first there was a conversation about, well, we feel like Northern Indiana's a good place, but then it kind of became, well, but there was a hotel available for sale. And so that's why we came here. There was some conversation about we're going to have this balance between Medicaid and private, and then there was question, well, we're not sure you can do that, and then there was conversation. But so the conversation keeps kind of shifting a little bit, and then finally, one of the issues that I know was brought up in one of our video conversations had to do with felons and whether they were going to allow felons to be in the facility or not. And the first answer was no, we're not going to allow felons. But then if you have individuals that are going through the criminal process that have had drug convictions or things like that, okay, so you may have felons as a part of it, and how does that all work? So again, my concern is I fully recognize at this point that the BZA has already approved the other location, okay? And again, I'll be the first one to say this location I think is a better location than the other, but I do think there's some major concerns with this facility. And I think you're hearing it through Mission 25. You're hearing it through a letter from Patterson's. You're hearing it from some county concerns that were brought up, and you're hearing it from me. And you know me well enough to know I don't come to these unless it's a really important thing. And I think this is an important one. I don't know what you do at this point because you've already approved it at another location. But I do think that there are some significant concerns being brought by the community. I'm here on their behalf, but I'm also here on behalf of my fire and police department that also have some tremendous concerns about the facility, about the the ability to come and go, the potential public safety or let's say EMS type services, things like that. So with that, BZA, I appreciate you hearing from me and appreciate you taking these concerns under consideration. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Would you like to? Guess we got another beer.
One more thing.
Yeah, you're fine. I'm sure you'll like to comment on some of the stuff that you're hearing at the end.
If you'd like to do that first. Okay. Congratulations on this. Nikki Venable, 253 West, 150 North, here in Columbia City. I appreciate the statement that you said individuals don't commit the crime right in the backyard if they were to walk out of the facility. And I appreciate that because, as you guys know, I was a former officer as well. Worked in community corrections in Allen County for 15 years. So recovery is really something that's important to me, and it means something. Individuals not doing something in their backyard, if they are able to get out of a facility at any given time without there being security of some sort, is a concern of mine. I live less than a mile, as the crow flies, from this facility, whether it was at the Super 8 or if it's at the Quality Inn. Multiple times we've had officers that came to our property and another property that is on our lane because there was someone that either wasn't supposed to be in our area, but it was a safety concern. They checked the back of our properties, checked our neighbors' back of their properties, and I'm not talking about at 10 o'clock at night, I'm talking about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So it is a concern. The location is a concern. And I just want to make sure that someone is aware of that. And it is a concern when you're talking about even during the day. It's not just night. And it's not just that it's in a residential, that we're in a residential, just north of it, but it's the area that it's in as well. Businesses, a dentist's office is there. There's going to be another dentist location over there. You have children that go to Walmart. You have children that go to the movie theater. Children that are over at Culver's. So just hoping that that's in consideration as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Good. You're fine.
I'd like to get all the demonstrators out of the way first. My name is Matt Shipman. I'm at 119 South Main Street, Columbia City, Indiana. I'm going to not talk about what everybody else has talked about. You guys know a lawyer, obviously, so a couple of the legal things that to me I think are important, and then a couple of just the things that everybody else talked about. First of all, general business, there's a reason that this is a special exception in general business. Is because it requires, more scrutiny ultimately than if I want to put a McDonald's in or something. And ultimately I get that there's been another location that's already been approved. Okay, there's nothing we can do about that. But the reality is that if you approve a second location, it is possible that you now have 3 with Mission 25 locations in this community. Hopefully we've considered that. I don't know how many the other bed facility was, but I think Sean and her team have done a lot of work to make sure that the facility that we're building is on behalf of Mission 25. I'm also the board chair, as you guys remember probably, is the appropriate sized facility for our community. So having said that, a couple other things, I make these presentations in front of boards like you guys or our planning commissions all the time. And usually you hire a local council to come that the people are familiar with to make these promises of what we'll do or not do. And the reason is because they can say whatever they want. I mean, you have no way to enforce it, really. All you're asking, or all they're asking, is for there to be special exceptions that they can do this facility there. So when Sean and I came up a year ago to make the same presentation and told you about what we're doing as on behalf of Mission 25, I believe it got approved because you knew you could believe us. I'm not saying that you can't believe these guys. I don't know. Honestly, all I know is that they can tell you they're going to overstaff. They can tell you, that people aren't going to get let out of their facility. They can tell you that they don't have walkouts. They can tell you that they have this whole policy to deal with it when it happens, but that's not going to be enforceable in any way. There's nothing you can do about it if they don't do any of it. The only control you have is to exercise your due diligence and not grant a special exception, because that's kind of the only real control you have. Now, they'll do a development plan and all those things, but how they police the building, how people come in and out of it, unfortunately, there is really nothing you can do about that. So, anyway, that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here like to speak against the petitioner? Would the petitioner like to address some of the comments that they took?
This isn't easy. It's hard for me, and like everything you guys were saying, I get it. And Sean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I love what you do, but I'm the you of where I live at, and for me to sit back here and just listen, because you guys don't know me. You know what I mean? But I know what I've done in Ohio, and you can get online, you can Google me, you can see everything I've done for the state of Ohio to help with addiction. And I know I'm not from Indiana, but this is the Midwest. And I know that I would come in here and I would treat it the same way as my home. And I'm not going to sit up here and try to beg you guys to give us what we know, but just know that if you guys allow this and you allow me in your community, I will treat your community like I treat my own. And I know that you talk to the mayor and you talk to other people in the area, but if you start asking people, representatives over there, my county sheriffs, everybody, that what I do and how I run treatment, there's not a person in the state of Ohio that works at a treatment center will not tell you that Nate Kalmeyer doesn't do what he says he does. And I promise you that. So, I mean, it's hard to follow that up, because normally I'm not in a situation where people are against me. They're usually for me, asking me to come speak and stuff. But, I'm very grateful, and I appreciate you guys and what you guys do. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here who'd like to speak on this, the petitioner?
Sure, I can.
Sure, go ahead.
Alright, so we all agree recovery is a big thing right now. And I mean no disrespect, was brought up twice that I didn't meet with anyone from the community. And I didn't think I could until I knew there was something to talk about. Because me coming to the community, speaking to them about our plans, even before we even get approved for anything, I mean, it just didn't make sense to me at the time, because we'd have to get approved first to have any discussion. I would never come into someone's house or home uninvited. You do knock first. And that's what this meeting is for, to get the knock, to let in and speak about who we are. What Ms. Ellis does is amazing regarding the treatment, the outpatient, the MAT, the housing, the 54 new bed facilities she's building. But that's the second step. The first step is the inpatient, the detox. That's how they get to her, which is the outpatient part. You can't start IOP without having the detox and residential first. I understand that she feels it's saturated in Indiana. And I saw the list of names that she brought up of other addiction centers. But if you look at those names, they don't take in people that can't afford to go. They take in commercial and private pay. We take in those that can't afford it. We take in the Medicaid. We do the scholarships. And if you look at Fort Wayne, just Google addiction centers, Fort Wayne, you'll find 15, 16 facilities there. It's only because the need is so great in Indiana, and if it wasn't that great, I mean, it wouldn't be needed. We know all the grants that everyone is getting as a Mission 25, and we love that. You know, someone did bring up about being non-for-profit, tax exempt, but self-funded. We're not taking away from anyone. We just want to help everyone. And that's our goal why, you know, with Whitley County, we want to be invited into the community because we have a lot to offer. We like to partner with everyone. Because for those that are coming to our facility, you know, they need IOP, they need housing. They're going to need what Sean Ellis offers. But we're not here to take away any of your spotlight, your sunshine, of what you're doing. We just want to add to it and help you. And that's what our goal is in recovery, in doing detox residential only inpatient. That is our goal here.
Thank you. Sean, can you come back?
I have some questions for her too.
Thank you.
Yes.
Can you kind of tell me, can you explain to me, so is there a difference in what
We do versus them?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So he is exactly right. So they are the first step when it comes to treatment. So what they are proposing is they want to do a detox center and they'll detox. So some people will detox like less time than others, depends on the addiction, right? So they'll detox and then it's a 30-day program. So the treatment centers are usually that 28 to 30 days. After that 28 to 30 days, and actually before that, usually case managers are contacting me or other facilities like mine within about the third week because now they need to find a location for their individuals. Okay. And so that's where we are like the second handoff. And the handoff meaning like we're now going to do the really intensive work that's going to take a lot longer than 30 days. So our work takes usually about a year to 18 months depending on the individual and the need that they're coming in with. So we are very much a long-term facility. And so when they are in our facility, a lot of times IOP continues. They are accessing all those treatment centers that I talked about here in Whitley County, like the Bowen Center and Park Center. And then we also utilize Clean Slate. We utilize a lot of other services as well because they're going to continue to work on that mental health capacity, behavioral health to ensure that their recovery is strong and is intact. So that is the difference. And he did a great job explaining it. Like we are the next level. And so from us then, as you know, we also have housing. And so as individuals leave from us, then they can go into housing for another 2 years as we continue to monitor their recovery as well.
So like the Bowen Center and some of the others, those are just like daily?
Yeah, like Bowen Center in Pearson, that's inpatient, that's 12 miles away. They do detox, they do take Medicaid. So does Park Center out of Fort Wayne. They also take Medicaid. So, and those are our community mental health partners that are here in Whitley County.
So those places do basically.
Yes, they all take Medicaid.
He's suggesting.
Correct. And so there are entities that do not take Medicaid, that they do just take private insurance. Allendale, I believe, is one of them. They take private insurance. But your Park Center, your PBH, Parkview Behavioral Health Institute, your Bowen Center Recovery, all of them are going to be Medicaid related because they're community mental health. That's just the bottom line. That's what they have to accept. And they're also our MAT providers. So that's where individuals are accessing if they have to get Suboxone or Vivitrol or Methadone. They're going over into that area to be able to access those services. So when they get to me, and we do accept MAT, forms of MAT, but that is very controlled within our facility. So that is like, especially our new facilities, like double lock, double door, like triple everything. And so it's really, really protected. But because our clients, they do work so closely with IOP here locally, like we don't need it in our building because we are collaborating with the partners that are already here providing the IOP. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And Mr. Josh, no one's stealing my spotlight. It has nothing to do with that, I assure you. I'm not about the spotlight. I'd rather hide under it, not in front of it. But we are doing great work, and I know you and I had a conversation about all the work that you're doing as well, and I do commend you. I'm not going to say that I don't. I think you're doing a great job. It just doesn't feel like it fits right here.
Okay, Sean, before you leave, I'm sorry. I have another question.
Yes.
So, some of this is just ignorance because I don't know
That's okay.
all of the background, right? But so if they're taking Medicare and they're the first step and you're the second,
Mhm.
could you not receive from them clients
So
if they don't want to go back to where they live?
right,
Right?
so
Like, help me understand that thing.
yeah, so and I had this conversation with Josh because
Okay.
I expressed that concern. So again, like I shared, our building is being designed on the data that we have collected all these years, right? Based on the occupancy that we've been dealing with, and this is how we designed our building. So now if you guys are approving, and what they said is 100 people, potentially, I don't know if they'll max that 100, but if they do, and if any of those people choose to walk out and come to second level of care, that could put another pressure, like another piece onto my facility that we weren't prepared for, to have a whole nother entity coming into this community that has that many more people. Like the infrastructure is not here in Whitley County to support that. Now, if they were doing that before we were building a whole new facility, we probably would have not tripled, but quadrupled our facility size. And so that's where it is taxing. That's going to be taxing. And I had that conversation with Josh, and his response to me was, we have 10 other partners in the state of Indiana. If you don't want them, we'll send them somewhere else. Okay, and that's where I get cringy, because I'm like, okay, now it's not about, we're not hurting people. Like, we're fixated on, we're person-centered, right? We're trying to reduce harm, and we're trying to get them that next level of care. So just being mindful of how we're going to care for people well from step 1 to step 2 is absolutely critical. It's not just a matter of Sean Ellis and her team doesn't want them. It's a matter of, do we have the infrastructure to actually accommodate that?
Okay.
So where does your step 1 come from now?
It comes from all of in the letter that I provided you. So all of those treatment centers.
Okay, those treatment centers.
Yes, in fact, it's not just, so our community corrections, like they use those same partners as well. So all of us have been building these partnerships with those individuals for literally like the last 4 to 5 years. So this hasn't been just overnight. Like we've had intense conversations with each of these partners. We've referred to them, they've referred to us. So if someone comes into our building and there is a relapse, we are on the phone with one of those providers instantly. And that's where they're taking them in. And they give them back. Like that's just a partnership we have. Because we've really worked on it and we don't take it lightly. It's serious business.
So some of the people in your facility, because when I look at this, obviously these are in our surrounding areas. So your facility will take in all the surrounded areas as well to fill a need if you have capacity.
Yes, if we have capacity. So Whitley County is always going to be our primary focus, right? It always has been and always will be. And I can look at all my data and I can show you Whitley County is always number 1, period. There are years where sometimes Pascasco County might be a little higher than Allen County. And so, but we go back and forth. We have great partnerships with surrounding county, like Noble County's drug court, Huntington County's drug court. Huntington County begs for beds from us because they're like, we know the work happens. Like you guys do great work and it's great success. We had great success. So they're begging to get their people into our building. Obviously we can only do so much. And again, we built our building based on our data here locally and with knowing that the capacity that's around us. Because we know there's other recovery residences all around us as well. It's not about just trying to keep adding to all these services. Yes, there is a need for recovery, Josh. We all know that. Like, thank you for saying that again. It's true. But that level of care, that step 2, is absolutely critical. So step 1, we got to get them there for sure. But that's how it works. We're all in it for the person, right? We're all in it to make sure somebody recovers and no one dies. We do not want to see somebody die by overdose. No one here, no one in this room wants to see that. And so when we can do these handoffs and we can do it the right way, we're going to see great things happen.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask questions from here.
No, go ahead, Stan.
I had a question for you. Just for my own knowledge, Bowen Center, how long do they usually keep their clients for?
So it depends on the issue, honestly. So it depends on if they're coming in, if they relapse and there's a mental health thing, like there could be multiple things going on. So, and it also depends on which location they're going to, whether they're going to go over into Pearson area or if they're going to go into Allen County area. So, and again, it's going to be, I'm not a Bowen Center employee, so I don't do all their assessments, so I don't know how they determine who stays longer and who doesn't. I mean, there's been times where like, man, I wish they would stay longer, but we just don't know.
how long are people in detox and res before they come to you guys?
So it depends on which location they're at. Are you talking about from Bowen Center specifically, or
From
anywhere?
So do you have a
Sometimes-
requirement how long they are?
No.
How much treatment they need to have before they step in the highway?
No, they
Okay.
just have to have a negative drug screen when they come into us. So if they only do treatment for 14 days, again, it's their journey, it's not mine. So
Right.
we're on the journey with them, like you know that. And so it's really,
So
and we just monitor that, obviously.
So if they're at Bowen Center for 7 days sometimes, or 5 days, they might not even have a negative drug screen to come to you yet, right?
Correct, and we have those conversations with Bowen Center, and they know that, and they will hang on as tight as they can until we get to that point where we give it, So again, we have that partnership, we can do that.
So like the first step that we have is going to have a clean drug screen coming to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And all of our treatment centers in the area know that about us as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I just have I have a few questions, Ms. Ellis. Instead of sending someone 4 miles, 12 miles, 20 miles away with the partnership we currently have, why not send someone right down the block from you?
Because I don't have a partnership with you, Josh. I don't know you. I don't know you. Why wouldn't I?
Do you feel, right, my question is like this. We all know that there's definitely a need for more facilities for Medicaid. And if we can help you and partner with you, like you said, I'm phase 1 and you're phase 2, why can't we work together from right down the block?
Again, it's the.
I'm not trying to put you in a bad spot here. What I'm trying to say is, we know that we both agree that there's a need. We both know that there's a need for a Medicaid facility. And I'm right down the block. And like I said, you can partner with us. And like I said on our phone call, if your concern is you might be at capacity, where are we going to send the clients that come to us? A lot of clients either want to go back to an outpatient IOP, PHP where they live, or the referrals that we partner with send us the detox where you send them to your current partnership, and then they come back to you. That is the same scenario that we have with them. But I just want to understand, why can't we be added to your list of people to partner with right down the block to help you?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Josh. I don't know that I can answer that any way that you're going to like it. Meaning,
I understand what you're saying. We're new, we're growing, you're nervous. I
Very.
understand that. But if you ask around, for the amount of work that we've done, number one, you can tell by what the mayor said, the way that our facility looks. We take pride in making sure all of our facilities don't look like healthcare facilities. We want it to look like a luxury place that they know that they're wanting to get help. So that tells you that we take pride in what we offer. And like Nate Kalmar said, we have tons of partnership, and the reason why we do well is because we have compassion and sympathy and empathy for everyone that comes through our door, and we help them in a different way than a lot of other recovery centers help them. And that's why, as Nate mentioned, Allendale, Boca Recovery, there are other companies out there that we partner with because they know the good work that we do in Ohio, and they would love us to come to Indiana because there are not enough Medicaid facilities, because unfortunately there are more commercial and private pay, like you said. Are they doing it for the money, or are they doing it for the people? We're doing it for Medicaid. I think that says something about who we are and what we want to do and want to partner with you.
I do have a
Hypothetical?
question for you. Can't spit that out. So like these places that you draw from, anybody from Whitley County, obviously, the some that you do draw from Fort Wayne or Pearson. If this facility was here, do you think some of the patients that would have been there would be here instead? I know instead of this just being an added push on you.
I can't answer that question. I really don't know. I also know persons in recovery also need to leave like people, places, and things, right, in order to recover and recover well. And so they may choose to go elsewhere so they can do life outside of here. We have even had individuals that have been in our program that they are just not doing well with us for one reason or another, and we will call other facilities and we'll say, hey, listen, we have tried. This client's just not doing well with us for whatever reason. Like, can you go ahead and try? Like, you try with them and see how well it works for them. And they will do that. We have done the same. We've had great success with other people that other agencies have not been able to work with. In fact, we have people in housing now because we took them and we did great work with them. So it just really depends on the person and where they want to go, because it's their journey. It's not mine. I can't dictate where they go. The only person who's going to mandate somebody to go is going to be a judge somewhere, but it's not going to be me. And it's probably not going to be any of these guys either. So
it sounds like what I continue to hear a theme of is that there really is an element to relationship.
Yes.
When it comes to this kind of work.
Yes.
And that there's not the relationship there.
Correct.
And it may be someday, but
Correct.
it very well may not.
Correct.
And so that is a really big component.
Correct. I would be taking risk by just trusting that this entity coming out of Ohio, and let's say they're not Ohio, right? Let's say they're coming from southern Indiana all the way up here, out of nowhere. That's a huge risk. Like, I'm not willing to risk somebody's recovery on not knowing this other entity and not having that relationship with them. Not going to do it.
Ms. Ellis, every new addiction facility you started out with was a risk, wasn't it? Or did you wait 2-3 years till they had a reputation to start with them?
I did.
But every new facility you start with, there was a risk not knowing are they good or not good, right?
So we actually engaged with them before we actually sent people to them.
So we can engage.
You can engage, but probably not after today. Yes, we'll have to have coffee sometime in Fort Wayne, maybe.
Excuse me?
We'll have to have coffee sometime in Fort Wayne, in Allen County. Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the crowd that'd like to speak on this petition?
Hello everyone, my name is Matt. I'm the Director of Business Development at Legends Recovery Center. I love what you do. I studied it all the way up here. A little backstory of me, I'm a 3-time convicted felon. We were talking about felons coming in and out. I'm not that person today. I just celebrated 6 years in recovery. But 7 years ago, I was homeless. I lived in a tent. And I moved into an Oxford house. I don't know if you're familiar with Oxford House. And I met Nate. And he gave me an opportunity to change my life completely. I mean, I could stand up here today and you wouldn't look at me and say, that guy's a 3-time convicted felon. His hometown back in Kentucky hates him. He's an IV drug user. You wouldn't look at me and say I was homeless. And because of Josh and Nate, which I know Josh is sometimes he can really pinch the skin. I get it. But I'm who you're dealing with. I walk into our facility every day, and I look at the faces of the guys and the girls that come in and out. 6 months to 9 months later, I see those people come in and I see them clock in. And I see that opportunity that I was presented, whether it be in Indiana, whether it be in North Dakota or Alaska. I'm for that person. I am him. I am you. So when it comes to the treatment that you may get here from Legends Recovery, if we do come here, if we go anywhere, it's going to be that treatment, because I am that person that comes in with nothing, that comes knocking on the door that didn't have an appointment. It's like, hey, I need a place to stay tonight. And somebody says the right thing, and I'm like, man, this is the life I want. That was me. I went to the VOA in Louisville, Kentucky, a homeless shelter, and I sat in the back, and I would see people that would do things like this right here. They would come up and they would talk to people like, man, I wanted to be that so bad. And I was given that opportunity because somebody opened up that door and they seen something different in me. Today I have a life that is unimaginable. And it's because of places like you have and places like Legends and you guys giving the opportunity for people like that to come in and be a new entity to your community. I get it 100%. It is scary. I wish I could have came up here and talked to you first. I think we would have connected. I've heard a lot about you. I've talked to Sierra. She talked highly of you. I wish I could have done that. I wish we could have got off on that foot right there. And if we do have the opportunity, I promise you I'll be the first to have coffee with you in Fort Wayne or wherever you want, in your dining room. But I would love to have that opportunity, and if not here, somewhere else. But I just wanted to say that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Any more questions for the crowd?
That's it.
What's that?
It's time to move on.
All right, I close the floor and open it to board discussion.
I guess I would like to speak. First and foremost, I appreciate all of the information that's been provided this evening from everyone that spoke. It's a very sad situation, but it's very heartwarming to know that the entities, the establishments that are out there to help people with, these kind of addictions and that there are facilities available. I think, in the past, the Board of Zoning Appeals has received petitions. We've received petitions with site plans that have been very detailed, that not just by the word of people, and, anyone, not everyone that walks up here and talks to the board we know. And so we have to take from what they say to be the truth. But most of the time, we get a site plan that shows this is the facility, and this is what we're planning, and this is what doors might look like. This might be what a room might look like. When you talk about not being able to get out because there's alarm systems on things. Everything that you've talked about, we've heard, okay? But we just have an aerial photograph. We know where the location is. We see what's next door, but the other petitions that we've approved in the past, just like Mission 25, very, very detailed. I mean, we went over the gamut, realizing that it was a new facility, a whole new piece of property. But there again, we had documentation and things to go with the petition and with those promises, and and with the discussion about this is the plan, this is what we do, and this is how we do it. My concern again is I just am very concerned just hearing about all of this and trying to understand everything. The fact that we're in such close proximity to Autumn Trace, the movie theater, the dentist. There's so many Holiday Inn. There's just so many things going on right there. For someone just to come in there and within a couple of days of being in detox, just being able to walk out the door. And I realize what you're saying is they'll go back to where they're familiar, but they can also go someplace where they can just walk in and no one has a clue who they are. And if they want it bad enough, they're going to find it. So those are just some of my concerns. I appreciate everything that you've said. I've taken it in. I appreciate everything that Josh has said. I just really have those concerns. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at things, I'm getting information, but it's all documentation. It's not plans. It's not, this is what our facility, even in your facility in Ohio, this is what our facility looks like. This is what, when I talk about, the alarm system, those kind of things. I just really have a big concern about that.
Yeah, more the flow of start and finish. I mean, as far as the security portion, I'm not as concerned about that. I mean, we got a new jail and sheriff's department across the street, and it's going to have inmates and stuff. So I'm not. That part of it doesn't.
Yeah, that's a whole different.
I know it is.
My goodness
I know it is.
Yeah, and if we want to see the plan for that, we can see that. So.
That portion of it doesn't concern me. And there's concern. Don't take that the wrong way. I think for myself more investigation and more detail with the community, like Sean has suggested. I'd felt a little bit better if there was a little more of that of what have happened up to this point. I think we've got a lot more information today than we had 2 months ago.
Well, and I feel like I know things I didn't even realize I needed to know. Like, Sean, what you shared was new information for me, and how the recovery process works, and that was a really important piece for me to hear. So thank you for taking the time to kind of outline that. Was really helpful for me. My other concern is Mayor Daniel is saying, first they said no felons, and then there was, well, we might have some. That is a really big concern for me personally. Just that wishy-washiness on that particular issue. So,
If you're ready, I will make the motion to deny the special exception for 24-C-SE-3.
I have a motion for denial of 24-SE-3.
I second that motion.
We have a second it. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Just so that we have it clear, can we do a roll call vote?
Yeah.
Because there was some waving of hands and stuff, so.
All those in, I guess, roll call please.
Cathy,
I
in favor?
in favor of Dennis's motion.
Okay. John,
Yes.
Stacey,
yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
That's 4-0.
In favor of the motion to deny.
Yes, you can say.
I want to tell you guys, I love what you do. And the reason that I wanted to move forward in the last meeting was because I am passionate and about what you do and the importance of helping people start a new life. And I really thought when you came that it would be a good partnership with our current facilities. And I really hope that you guys can find a location that really meets your needs and allows you to continue to grow. And my no personally has nothing to do with not supporting your work. And I want to thank you for your time.
I agree. I agree totally.
And if I may say, I was not able to attend the meeting with the Super 8 property on Frontage Road. So if I was here, I was very concerned, more concerned about that location than I even about this location. So if I may just make a comment, if in fact you seek to go to that location, because you do have an approved special exception there, I really hope that you take into consideration everything that was said and you heard this evening, to heart on that, because that special exception is still good. Is that correct?
Yeah, the zoning code states 6 months. I believe the Indiana code actually extends that. I forget how long, but yeah, it still would be in effect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nathan, we have any other business?
We do. Josh, I'm going to take you off as a panelist, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, Mason.
Thank
Thank you.
Good luck.
Take care.
Okay, so under other business, the mayor has been trying to visit all the different boards and commissions in the city, and so the BZA's, I'm not sure if it's the last board you visited or one of the last, I don't know. He's here tonight, so he has some stuff to talk about.
Yes.
So
thanks, board, again for entertaining me for a moment here, or allowing me to entertain you, maybe. I do want to give you a couple updates. Yes, I am trying to hit all the boards and commissions last month, but both you and the Arts Commission decided you didn't want to meet last month, so now we're into August. And so I do want to give you a couple updates of things that are happening. Right now, we are planning to do an update to our comprehensive plan next year, 2025. Our last comprehensive plan was approved in 2015, so we are now 10 years in. And so we're looking forward to doing an update to the comprehensive plan. We've accomplished a lot in that plan at this point, at 10 years in now, and so we look forward to kind of renewing that, putting a few new things on the agenda, and I'm sure that we will take a hard look at the actual zoning map piece, because when we did the plan in 2015, there was no school, and now we have a school and a big piece of property there that's now a part of the city, and so you'll see some updates to the comprehensive plan happening next year that certainly you guys will be involved in some way, shape, or form. So that is scheduled for next year. It's budgeted for next year as well. US 30 status, we had so as you probably are well aware, the Pell Study Planning and Environmental Linkage Study is occurring now on US 30 by INDOT. They are moving toward the third, the level 3 assessment of that, which is where they take bigger segments of the highway and really take a look at how all the pieces work together. So you had, try to make this real quick. So when they first did the Pell study, they kind of did all the information gathering, create a purpose and need statement, and then they started on a three levels of assessment. The first level was to take, was to really just figure out what are the options that they're going to look at for the different intersections, and what are the options they're going to take off the table. I'll give you, for instance, they left on the table things like interchanges and J-turns and roundabouts, but took off the table things like a bypass, for instance, okay? Or added travel lanes, for instance, okay? So in the level 2 assessment, they then looked at all of the intersections along the way on US 30 and said, okay, what are the, well, let me back up. Most of the major intersections, some of the more rural intersections they didn't really address, but the major intersections, they said, okay, what's a good treatment for this? Will it meet the safety piece? How expensive will it be? All those kind of things. So that was the level 2 assessment. Now the level 3 assessment will take bigger sections and say, okay, if we do this at this intersection, how is it going to, impact the other intersections around it? So I anticipate that you will have probably a good portion of Columbia City that will be in a segment, that they will look at how 205 and 9 and 109 and maybe even Lincoln Way kind of fit together. And if you do this here, how does that impact traffic going further? So you'll see that on the US 30 side. I'll also mention that we have we have been notified that INDOT will be doing significant projects on US 30 in Allen County. So you will see like Kramer Road, I believe it's supposed to be a right in and right out there, so you won't have any cross traffic anymore. The Amazon facility there at Flaw Road will have an actual interchange that will take place there. I think, I don't know if it's O'Day or what road it is, but there'll be an overpass of some sort there. So they're taking a pretty good swath of Allen County from I-69 to the west toward us that they're actually going to be addressing in the next probably 2 to 3 years. Okay, construction-wise, not planning, construction. So I know there's also been conversations regarding County Line Road here at the Whitley-Allen line, especially with SDI and other things like that. Nathan may or may not decide to talk through that a little bit, but nevertheless, it's coming. I don't know if that means that they'll be at 9 and 109 in 5 years or 10 years or 15 years. I would say it's probably closer to a minimum of 7 to 10. But at least we have, hopefully coming out of the Pell study, we will have a plan of action for US 30 that goes through Columbia City and Whitley County so that we can actually start planning for that on local roads and streets. And as intersections are going to be divided or taken out or changed, we all know, for instance, the frontage road / Plaza Drive and State Road 109 is a terrible intersection that everyone hates, and so many stop signs have been replaced there and all kinds of good stuff. That's one of those specific locations that I'm very confident will be addressed in the Pell study, probably, if not in the level 3 assessment, definitely by the end of the Pell study. So we anticipate level 3 should come out this month, and the full study should be completed hopefully by the end of the year. They've kind of fudged on that a little bit to say it may go into January, but we'll see. But we are excited that we're finally having a plan of action put together for US 30.
Has there been any talk in US 30 about cable rail down the middle?
Not that I've heard.
That's a real safety measure.
I
have not heard of that. Let's say it that way.
Okay. So that is, I think that's kind of treated independent of the major other major capital improvements, because that's more of a.
Well, and it's only all in interstates. That's the only place I've seen it in Indiana.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to think hard. Or
It's not
interstate
on-
level, it might be up along US 24, for example.
It's not there.
Northeast of Fort Wayne.
I'd have to drive it and see.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've been there.
But I know we had kind of talked about certain aspects of that, and NDOT had said that that's kind of its own little animal dealing with safety considerations. It's kind of quasi-maintenance even.
It's,
so.
work.
Yeah. So I don't know. Ultimately, I think what you're going to see out of the final plan, and maybe even in the level 3, you will see probably 3-ish options, per segment. So I think you will see a do nothing, because that's what they have to do in every study, right? A do nothing, and then they'll have probably a freeway, or sort of like an interstate, and I think that they'll have some kind of a lower cost option with J-turns or roundabouts or things like that. I certainly, hopefully, we've gotten our message across that roundabouts don't belong on US 30, but they were in the level 2 assessment, which we pushed back pretty hard on that. So, anyways, long story short is that we're waiting to see what NDOT has to produce for that. But I do think that at the end of the day, you will see, at the end of the plan, you will see bigger segments, if you will. You will see multiple options for the totality of US 30 in the future. Okay? So that's on US 30. Happy to answer any questions you have on that.
So I was going to tack on a little bit to that, based on my discussions, and the county engineer and I met separately with NDOT last week at their request to talk about the SDI area, Eastern Whitley County more generally, to give them an idea of what's in the pipeline development-wise, and talk about 800 East and so on. But out of that, I kind of get the sense that NDOT is, you already kind of suggested it, is taking chunks of US 30. They already are doing it with Flaw and O'Day and Kramer, and they already have in their transportation improvement plan the next chunk of Felger, Leesburg, and then like 2 other roads there too.
Yeah.
Then they were meeting with us with the next chunk, which would be 800 Butt Road, Raft Road, 700 East, and potentially as far as 600 East. And that, I get the sense that that's kind of just what NDOT's game plan would be outside of the Pell study.
Yeah, segmented along the way.
Very segmented, and assuming it just continues westward, then Columbia City would be, if you figure each chunk is about 5 years, we probably are about 15 years out by the time you get to Columbia City. What I'm optimistic with the Propel study is it will shift these priorities and shift some of these mentalities.
I said to the Planning Commission last night that in the initial study, in the first part of the Pell study, they did all the data collection, and you can see that in the rural areas, there's really not as big of an issue. But when you get to Warsaw and Columbia City, you see spikes in traffic deaths, you see spikes in accidents, you see spikes in safety concerns. And I do think to that point, you will see somewhat like what they did with 31, is you will see them focus on some of the more metropolitan areas, if you can call us that, the metropolitan areas, and then build out from there. But again, I think that's where this level 3 assessment is going to really make that difference to say, okay, if we do this chunk of projects, then it's not, we're going to take care of 109 and 9 and then create backups at 205 and Armstrong and Lincoln Way, right? So I think that's how they'll kind of look at it. But yes, the traffic data I think is really undirected. The other thing I'll mention is that once the Pell is done, their plan, I think, from what I've heard, is to go after an EIS, which is an environmental impact study. And that really allows the federal funding component to come in for those projects. And I think they told us that the Pell study basically expedites the EIS. That a normal EIS would be, 2 to 3 years, Dennis, probably? And at least, yeah. And I think the Pell study, they're saying, really could truncate that because a lot of the data in an EIS is in this Pell study.
And the one other thing, I couldn't say this last night.
Okay.
I-69 officially opened the final segment as of today. And so that has
In Indianapolis.
Yeah.
In Indianapolis.
Well, yeah, the segment between
Yes.
Martinsville and Indy. That shifts the priorities for everybody. It shifts it away from I-69 after 30-some years, and opens up more availability for things like US 31, US 30, and I think there's, about 3 or 4 others that they have.
And they've probably been building that for 10 to 15.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, well, so yeah, today's opening ceremony, there was 3 governors there, and I'm sure it's been probably at least that. So, 2 of the past and the current governor. So,
I think the first segment officially opened in 2012, but construction started well before.
Which would have been on Mitch. So, last thing I'll say is we are live streaming all of our public meetings now, and you are a part of that. We're live streaming BZA and Planning Commission both on YouTube, on our city's our city's YouTube page. All the other meetings that happen at City Hall will be on our city's Facebook page and then uploaded onto YouTube. But ultimately, we are live streaming that about a year prior to what state law actually mandates, which is next year. So we appreciate Nathan's work and coordinating with our IT director to try to make sure all of this works together. Happy to answer any questions that you have of me.
Just thinking I'm have to wear makeup before I come to these meetings.
Right. Oh, because of the video camera.
Oh, you've been on camera since you not been on YouTube.
It's not on YouTube.
Different audience.
You haven't been a YouTube star until now.
Yes. You're now a content creator. Congratulations. So, Cathy.
Now that you're here.
Yes.
Hey, real quick question. Eagle Park.
Yeah.
Can you tell me how that phase of Eagle Park is going? Because
Sure.
I see a little bit of work and then I see no work. I'm just curious.
Yes, great question. So really the first part of so this is phase 1A, okay, this whole thing. And so phase 1A includes pickleball courts, which are I think they've been striped. I think there's fencing around it or close to. Maybe, have they been striped yet? Okay, they were going to be striped, I think, soon, because I knew the asphalt had to be cured and then they were going to do some other stuff to it. So I anticipate those pickleball courts should be, I don't want to commit, but I think they're supposed to be complete.
Coat on it yet.
Say what?
They don't have the top coat.
They don't have the top coat on? Okay, I thought that was supposed to happen. So I know that they've kind of been bouncing around a little bit because they still have the swing structure to put up. And then I know they've been laying a lot of concrete for all the sidewalks and stuff too. So I know they've been working on that. The actual skate park itself is probably going to either be late this year, beginning of next year. That was a project scheduling, juggling thing with the subcontractor. And John, when's lights going up?
Chip gives me the egg.
Okay, once Chip says go. But yeah, so I anticipate pickleball courts will be done hopefully by the end of the month.
And I wasn't
They'll still
specifically.
be keeping the old pickleball.
Yes. We'll still be keeping the old pickleball courts.
I
Yes.
wasn't specifically gearing towards the pickleball courts.
Yes.
I was just
The totality of that project. So yeah, so pickleball courts is there. Again, skate park probably end of this year, beginning of next year. Swing I anticipate going up probably within the next month and a half. So I think what we're kind of gearing toward is pickleball courts and swing kind of opening around the same time, and then skate park once completed doing an opening for that. I do anticipate next year us probably doing the amphitheater that's there. We're having some conversations about that right now and kind of what that would look like and all those kind of things. But
where's that going?
So there is so if you know where the old weight room is, it's kind of nearby there. Yeah. We're still kind of trying to figure out what we want to do with the weight room, whether it's we keep it there and kind of build around it, or if it's something we try to move it to a different location or something like that. But ultimately, it will be in that general vicinity. The goal being the segment facing Whitley Street will be a smaller stage, a smaller venue, so that if your buddy wants to go and strum a little bit and have a little audience, that's perfectly fine. But then the other segment facing the football field will be the big concert venue, if you will, where we'll be able to bring in shows and all kind of the fun stuff that will be there. But using the football field as like area for seating and all that kind of good stuff. So
at any time down the road, will there be another bridge to Marches?
Yes. So in the park master plan, there is a connector bridge that will connect basically, well, general areas, if you go into marshes and you know where the brown barn and the white barn is, that's generally where it will come out at as of right now. Again, as you well know, a lot of wetland, a lot of forest, things like that. I don't imagine that will happen in the next 5 to 7 years, but I do think it could happen in 10 years. Again, just trying to make that connector.
And that'll be a pedestrian and not a traffic.
It'll be both. It'll actually be both. It'll be both traffic and pedestrian.
Yeah.
It'll be both. And that way, we'll have another exit out of Morshes Park and another access point for Eagle Park. So trying to be thoughtful about how we connect the two parks because there is synergy there, but at the same time, they are two distinct locations, if you will. Yeah. And last note I'll mention, because we're here, trail. We are going to be going out to bid on the Blue River Trail extension to the school, I think, at the end of this month. So finally, we're moving forward with it. So, yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I move we adjourn.
I second that.
I heard it.
Perfect.